go ahead and give us your name and your DOC number to make sure we talk to the right person.
Yes, ma'am. Brenda Thornton, 121327.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
For the record, we have here at headquarters, I have 3 names, but I have more individuals here. Okay, I have on the record, I have Ashley Palsy, Renee Ham, and Beatrice Taylor. That correct here?
Christy Jeremy,
Thank you.
Stephanie King,
Okay.
and Deborah Sharkey, Chaplain,
How you spell that? Sharkey.
SHARKEY.
Okay. And then give me your other 2 names again of who's here in person.
Christy Jeremy,
Christy CHRISTY.
CHRSTI, CHERMIE.
Okay, and who else?
Stephanie King.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
In our position this morning, we have Renee Smith and Kim Hayton. With Renee Smith who's going to be speaking. Is that correct? And we have Beatrice Taylor who's going to be speaking. At the institution, we have listed
All those people are here.
all of them are here at headquarters. All right, thank you. We have Cassandra Levert, Terry Reeves, Denise Tucker, Stephanie King, Bernice Jones, and was it Delphamite Martin? Operation Restoration. Okay. All right, thank you. Mrs. Thornton, let me explain the process to you. I'm going to read some information into the record. Afterwards, we're going to conduct the interview with you, starting with Mr. Freeman, because your case was assigned to Mr. Freeman. After all the questions have been asked, we are going to allow your supporters to speak, allow everyone who has asked to speak. They have 3 minutes to speak. And after that, in closing, we're going to get some comments from the warden, and then you have the last say. Tell us what you want us to know before we vote. And do you understand the process?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me read this information into the record. Your name is Brenda Faith Thornton. Your DOC number is 121327. You're listed as a first offender. Your offense is first-degree murder. You were sentenced on 3/25/1988 to life. It was commuted to 99 years. You appeared before the pardon board on January the 28th of 2019, and you received a favorable grant to the parole board. I'm sorry, to the governor, and the governor signed your clemency on August the 1st of 2023, and that set your parole date at August the 1st of 2023. That sounds about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you answer Mr. Freeman's question?
Okay, Ms. Thornton, how old are you?
61.
Okay, and what's your educational level?
High school diploma, and I have a theological BA.
Okay. Tell me what happened, and be honest today, because this is your day to tell the truth. If you tell the truth, things gonna go a lot different than if you lie.
Yes, sir. No need. I've been open from the very beginning. There was a heated altercation, and during that altercation, Mr. Thornton received fatal wounds, and that was how the night ended.
What led up to the altercation?
I was leaving, and I had returned. We were coming back to move some furniture into the house. We were going to be separated, and we were going to file for a divorce. And the altercation came because we had a disagreement about me leaving. And during that altercation, we were both angry. And as I was trying to leave, I had another person that came in, Mr. Moss came in. And during the altercation, I left and to go back to the house. And during that, there was an altercation between all 3 of us. And it became physical with Mr. Moss and Mr. Thornton.
Okay. Did Mr. Moss show up under the pretense that he was gonna try to buy a winch or a motor or something?
I have been told that, but to be honest with you, I don't know if it was that or not.
So was Mr. Moss at your house when your husband came home, or did he show up later?
No, Mr. Moss came to pick me up. I was going back to my mother's house.
Was Mr. Moss alone, or you had somebody with him?
No, he had his cousin with him.
Did y'all try to cover the murder up?
Yes, sir.
And what did y'all do to try to cover the murder up?
They cleaned the rags on the outside, from my understanding. And I know I saw the truck leave, but I can't tell you who was driving it. But I know that the truck left and the car both left because I was still at the house.
Did you know he was your husband was deceased when he left, or was he alive?
No, sir, I didn't know he was deceased. I can't tell you if he was deceased or alive. I wasn't on the outside.
Was your child home at the time?
Yes, sir.
And your child witnessed these events, correct?
He was in the front room when I had come to the kitchen. I was going to get his medication. And when I come back, he was standing in a chair looking out the window.
So you wasn't holding him?
I picked him up from the chair. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I told you to be honest, I think you're leaving some stuff out. You know, I'm having to drag it out of you.
No, sir. Whatever else you ask, I'm going to tell you everything.
Okay, well, I wish you could have just told me without me having to try to drag it out of you. Were you on drugs, alcohol at the time of this offense?
No, sir.
Okay, and your husband, he had just returned from the hospital, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long had he been home? From the hospital?
I think about 2 weeks.
And you were having an ongoing affair with Mr. Moss?
Yes, sir.
And that's who you was planning on leaving and going live with?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all speak about killing your husband prior to this happening?
No, sir. It wasn't something that we were speaking about.
And how long have you been in prison?
35 and a half years.
Okay, so how old were you when this happened?
25.
All right, you have some opposition, the judge is opposed. District Attorney's Office is opposed.
Yes, sir.
The sheriff is opposed. The victim, and several of their members are opposed. Several family members, sister, Mrs. Smith, and her husband, Billy, son, John, Derek Smith, Jason Smith, nephew, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this, Alson Smith, Kimberly Cummins, and I mean, you have a lot of opposition. What is going to be your residence plan, your employment plan if you get out?
I'll be housed
Where you gonna work?
I'll be housed with Operation Restoration, and I'll be entering the workforce through their guidance.
Okay, how long can you stay at this house?
A year.
What kind of classes have you taken?
I have taken all the CTRP credits as well as I teach them. I am a seminary graduate of the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary. It's there. Counseling and guidance through the other ones. Healings. Each one of those that were there in the process. I have done Recently, I've become a certified mentor, the mentor classes throughout it, and a trauma healing instructor.
Okay, what classes, what are you a mentor in?
Generalized institution.
What kind of community service work have you done since you've been in prison?
Christian lay counseling, part of the Members Association or the Lifers Association. I've done call outs. I do the graveside services that are there, and anything that they've needed me to do, whether with security or whether it's been in dorms, I volunteer for it.
You took victim accountability?
Yes, sir, I did.
You had a chance to speak with his family. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that I know I can't change the past, and I am so very, very sorry for the pain that I caused each one of them. I'm sorry for the mistakes that were made, and I'm so sorry for the loss that they've had and the pain that they've had to go through.
Tell me, why should I let you out today? Give me a good reason why I should let you out.
Well, Mr. Freeman, I can't change my past, but I know that my mind and my morals and my heart has changed. I've done my best to show that all these years for the work that I have done in the compound and the institutional grounds of trying to help other people, to teach them how precious life is. And given the opportunity to be released today, I would like to continue to carry that ministry onward and to help others as much as I've been helped here.
So you have completed the victim accountability letter writing. Did you finish that yet? I see you took.
Yes, sir. It's done.
Mom, yes. Life's Healing Choices. You have a bachelor's degree. Cage Your Rage. It's not a whole lot of classes for the amount of time you've been in. I mean, most of it was spent trying to get your degree, I take it.
Yes, sir.
How do you get along with your family?
Most of my family is deceased. I have a living aunt, and I'm very close to her. Well, two living aunts. I'm very close to one, and the other one I don't get to speak to very often because she has dementia.
Warden, anything you have to say about Ms. Thornton?
Yes, so just to repeat, I'm sure it was discussed in our previous hearing, but since 2002, she has had no write-ups. That's been over 20 years. She's a security level minimum status with us. She does have a low risk needs assessment. And, you know, since she's been here, I mean, I think with her institutional record, that just shows that she's focused on either helping people or helping herself. She stays out of trouble. Even in her 35 years of being here, she's only had 17 write-ups. That was earlier on, most of them. So that's a commendable thing. So I just wanted to point those things out again and be on record showing that.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Russia.
Good morning, Mrs. Thornton. How are you?
Good morning. Well, thank you, sir.
Good. Mrs. Thornton, just a couple of questions. What good time classes have you completed since your hearing in 2018?
Trauma healing was the first one. I've the certification classes has been there, the mentor classes with it. Those were two different sets. The trauma healing, the reason there's lengths between them is they were so long in between. They run for a long distance because to become a training instructor to go with it, I also followed up to become a training instructor.
What good time classes have you completed? Trauma healing and what else?
That was the ones that were there, and certification of mentor.
Have you completed Thank You for a Change?
Yes, sir.
Have you completed that since 2018?
No, not the thinking for a change. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. Not thinking for a change. No, those were the classes that I've been involved in since that time from 2019 onward. That's what I've worked on is my certifications and my training instructions. The classes of that trauma healing.
Like Mr. Freeman said, I don't see that many good time classes completed since your hearing. Last question. Let's go back to the crime itself. You said you were in an argument with your husband
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Moss interceded because you needed help. Is that correct?
Mr. Moss did intercede. I did not ask for help. No, sir.
Okay.
I was angry. There was a confrontation.
Okay. Why did Mr. Moss stop at the Walmart store and buy the baseball bat that he beat your husband to death with? And why did he bring a knife to your home in which he stabbed your husband in the chest multiple times? I just want to know.
I can't say why, Mr. Roche. I wasn't in the car. I wasn't when it was purchased. I didn't even know it was purchased until after the crime was committed.
Thank you, ma'am.
I knew he was coming, but I didn't know that he had that with him.
It seems as though it was premeditated.
Yes, sir, it does.
Thank you.
All right, thank you,
Yes,
Mr. Roach. Ms. Thorne, we've had a lot of material to read, on both sides. One of the things that stood out to me was that your husband was in the hospital and his sister visited. In her statement, she said that he told her that I would forgive her for the affair if she would only ask me to forgive her. Did you know that?
No, ma'am.
And that speaks volumes as to the kind of person he is. So in terms of your 3-year-old son, was it your idea that you were just going to take him? You weren't going to give him a choice as to whether or not he wanted to keep his son or not? Speak to that.
No, ma'am. We had decided John would have full access to John Derrick, full access. There was no trying to hold it from him. There was no trying to take him from him. None of that.
But you said you were packing to leave. So in your leaving, was it your intent to take your son with you, or were you going to leave him at the house?
No, ma'am. He was going with me.
And y'all had agreed on that.
Yes, ma'am.
So what was the contention? What was the arguments about?
A little bit of everything. We were having severe financial problems at the time. He was still upset about his surgery, that he might have to have some other surgery that was there. And honestly, his medications, they upset him quite often. He would get frustrated with these medications that he had, and it just turned into something that just nitpicking, and they would escalate. It was like nobody could say anything right. That's both. Nobody could say anything right, and nobody could do anything right. Everything just became wrong.
And you did say that he knew about the affair. He had known for quite some time about the affair.
Yes, ma'am. He knew.
About how long?
Couple of months.
Oh, a couple of months. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
All right, that's all I had. I think we will state for the record that all law enforcement agencies are opposed to your early release, and I'm just stating that for the record. So at this time, we're going to hear from your supporters. Mrs. Beatrice Taylor.
Yes,
You give us your name and your relationship to Mrs. Thorne, and tell us what you would like us to know.
Okay, my name is Beatrice Taylor. It's before you as Beatrice Jones, my previous married name. And I know Brenda. Beatrice Taylor, and I've been very close to Brenda for a quarter of a century, or just that. In 1999, I was the only ministry staff at LCIW, and she maintained all the industrial water, sewerage, and vital systems. We met when I needed her help to fill a 15-foot baptismal font and use the drainage valve. It was time to be baptized. Our sister-like bond included the DOC faith-based all chapel activities, retreats, and revivals. After receiving her BA in Christian ministry, she managed the chapel vestry in the new Women of the Well large chapel where I was the chapel. She reverently cared for all vestments and chapel items needed for Baptist, Catholic, and Muslim services. The historic 2016 flood evacuated LCIW's wing to the closed DeQuincy prison. Brenda and I cleaned the unused chapel there to have spiritual videos and serve coffee to all the evacuees. Brenda is at her best as a peer minister and a mentor to the LCIW. We were the two people that we would go to when women needed to say things they couldn't tell security or. Over the years, we adopted each other as we found things in common. We both served a life sentence. We had both lost both parents. And we had both lived in Oklahoma. And we each had a pet. Today we begin our letters, dear sister. She's a quiet person, and she is the perfect example of humility and impeccable values. After serving decades of a life sentence that began with domestic abuse, I would welcome Brenda if she were to join me in domestic violence coaching. Advocacy is healing. Y'all gave me 6 hours a month of community service. I thank you. It's addictive. I do more like 40 to 60 hours. I never stop. I'm on YouTube, on everything. Brenda deserves such healing, and she would be so good at it. I will support her transition to grant,
That's your time, ma'am, so wrap it up.
and I will help her rebuild any resources that I have applied to my own needs. It comes from reentry. The 100 hours are wonderful, and I will make myself available anytime to teach her that the internet holds all she needs to know, and that Google is. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beatrice.
All right, at this time, we will hear from Ms. Renee Smith.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you well. Give us your name and relationship to this case.
I'm Renee Smith. My brother was Johnny Thornton,
Thank you.
the deceased. Yes, ma'am. I object to the release of Brenda Thornton. It has caused a hardship on my family. It still leaves a hole in my heart to this day because of the brutal murder of my brother. She had a choice that day. She could have walked away. This was a premeditated murder. As you can see, she has lied about the case. She's deceptive. She has, all the way up to the end, she tried to portray herself as being kind and act as though nothing was wrong. And when my brother was in the hospital with the back pain, he told me he suspected that maybe she may be having an affair. He wasn't for sure. And this was like 2 weeks before his death. But he wasn't sure. And I offered to maybe hire a private investigator, but I was too late. Because when the private investigator was to start, the murder happened just before that occurrence. And his last words to me were, if she would just ask, I would forgive her. He was a very kind and forgiving person. He loved his family. He loved his son. He was a good provider for his family. And as you can see here today, she has lied about the case. She is not truthful. And even though she presents herself as being kind and has been under good behavior, she is under controlled environment. I do not wish that she be released so that she can do this to someone else. There is true evil in her heart. Someone that would carry out such an evil act on someone and have her son on her hip, as the newspaper said, and to watch the whole situation. I had to carry John for psychological therapy for quite some time due to this ordeal. And it was my honor to raise him as my son. He could not be here today to give his testimony because his job required him to be at work today. But he stands with me with the opposition for her, oppose her release.
All right, Miss, thank you so much. Begin wrapping it up.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. And then,
We got your statement.
that's the majority of what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I know this was difficult, but thank you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you for
Thank you.
participating today. All right, Ms. Thornton, you have the last say. What do you want us to know before we vote?
I would like to say that, first of all, I thank you for this opportunity today. I thank you for your time in it. And I don't want anyone to ever think that I don't take full responsibility for anything and everything, because I do. I have for many, many years. And again, I'm so sorry for the pain that I've caused family members, that I have caused those that love Johnny. And Lord, He knows that I can't change the past, but a mind and a heart and morals can be changed. And I'm hoping that, on the mercy of the board, that you will see that today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the panel ready to vote?
Executive session.
There's been a motion for executive
I'll
session.
second.
And it's been second. Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 To be an executive session to discuss confidential matters related to this case. Board is reconvened. We had went to executive session at 9:27 a.m. We're reconvening at 9:30 a.m. as to the case of Brenda Thornton. At this time, we are prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, Ms. Thornton, you have done great in prison. You have a great disciplinary record. You took some classes, not not enough for my liking. Someone that been there 35 years, I thought I'd have saw a lot more classes. And, quite frankly, I tell you to be honest, I don't think you were honest. I think I had to drag everything out of. I think you knew a lot more that was getting ready to happen than you said. My vote today is to deny.
Thank you. Mr. Roche?
Ms. Thornton, cases like yours are very difficult because the victim's family and the offender's family are intermingled. Your son is a victim. And we have very strong letters in at least 5, 6, maybe 7 of your family members. Sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, your son, and other members of your family who are adamantly opposed to your early release. The entire legal community, the judge, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, is strongly opposed. And like Mr. Freeman, I'd like you to have more good time classes. I know you worked on your GED, you worked on a Bachelor's of Arts in Christian Ministry, but I'd like to see you have more good time classes. Based on all that, I'm going to deny your request.
Ms. Brenda, at this point, you have 2 votes to deny. I am quite concerned as well. The impact of the crime on the victim, and the fact that you're bringing in the domestic violence a factor. You know, it was never discussed way back. And the case documentation that I've read, there's no support for domestic violence. And I know, you know, back in that time, that maybe you didn't call or whatever, but there was no indication of that. And you have law enforcement opposition. I do urge you to continue to do well, continue to keep your chin up, use the skills that you have. You're 61 today, so you know there is hope. There is hope. But for me today, my vote is to deny as well for the reasons I stated, and I concur with my colleagues. So your parole has been denied today.
Yeah, thank you.